Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Oh, let's start off with the BS early. And Shell Bentley says almost 8 minutes of you Negroes ain't ish. Today's a Saturday morning. Are we gonna use profanity? Let's try not to. Um, I might though. I might slip in. Okay, we're going to attempt to speak about this in good faith. Um, I'm going to try not to be insulting. I'm going to try not to be belittling. I'm going to attempt to not be dismissive, but we're going to give this a good faith effort in addressing another one of the you Negroes ain't ish, the white man's penis is God. And, I want to be, I want to be um, kind of overt about that because it really is about, and to be frank, let's just the title alone of the video says everything, right? The rise of black women coupling with white men. I mean, so we're slowly getting out of the era of, like, love is love, which is interesting because that was like the last comment of the video. We're gonna get to it. We'll get to it. Um, and we're just admitting, like, yo, like, this is about white men, right? This is not about finding love in other places necessarily. This is not about same-sex loving relationships. This is not about Asian men or Latino men or indigenous men, or no, this is about white men. And so let's be very clear. If this is about white men, then this is about power and wealth. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we could just, maybe stop making this a hit piece against black men, right? So let's go through some things. And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Y'all already know super chats will be read out loud, et cetera, et cetera. All right. At least now they're admitting that it's about the white man, right? So at least now we're having a honest conversation about it being about the white man. The title alone says it, right? The rise of black women coupling with white men in particular, right? And I think that says everything we need to know. I think it's very interesting that this is being hosted by Revolt TV. Did he care to explain? Right. So, and kind of in the backdrop is of the conversation is the young lady from The Bachelorette, black woman, who they say, out of 25 contestants, she only had 9 black men. Okay. Alrighty then, you know. Obviously in the background of the conversation is the black men been dating out and marrying out by 2 times as much. Okay. Once again, is this really about black women and finding love? Or is this a punch down on black men and try to smooth up to white men's testes? Alrighty then. All right. So there's that. We have data, increasing amount of data, that black men aren't chasing after white women, right? As a matter of fact, men of color aren't chasing after white women. That's a black woman and other women of color thing, right? That's something that black women and other women of color are going to have to grapple with. What did colonialism and white capitalism and decades of materialism and consumerism, what did it do to the minds of women of color? That includes black women. What did white colonialism do to the minds of women of color? And if we want to talk patriarchy, if y'all want to get into your lefty bag, fine. What has centuries of white patriarchy done to the minds of women of color? Is this really about love? Or is this about positionality, money, status, and being held up as a potential beauty standard juxtaposition of white women? Have fun trying to knock Asian women off that pedestal. Oh well. Right? So we already know, and I'm not going to emphasize this too much on this particular video. We already know something like 1% of white men marry black women, and just about 4% of all black women are married to non-black men. The 12% is when you control only for married black women. Now, while we're speaking about that in particular, the question really is, Is it black women's loyalty to black men, or is it white men in particular, anti-blackness, right? Racism, and just simply not being interested in black women? And why that matters for the larger conversation is that resentment, maybe that feeling of not being desired, maybe that feeling of not being the beauty standard that many black women feel. Is it possible that they take that anger and that resentment off on black men who they feel like they're stuck with in the black community? Is that at all possible? The conversation always goes to, well, black women are too loyal. Is it that black women are too loyal, or is that white men are too racist? And yes, they might have some bedroom fun with black women, but they do not marry black women. We Are we saying that only 4% of black women have ever had sex with a white man? Because only 4% of black women are married to a non-black man, period. That's all black women of marrying age in America. Only 4% have non-black spouses. Are we saying that only 4% of black women have ever had sex with a non-black man, particularly white men? Is that what we're saying? And once again, I must say, if the issue is black women's loyalty, are we saying it's Asian women's loyalty also? Right? 54% of American born Asian women marry outside their race almost exclusively to white men. Is it is it black women's loyalty to black men? Or is it white men's anti-blackness even directed towards black women? And if it is white men's anti-blackness directly directed towards black women in this case, what are black women going to do about it other than tell the world how horrible black men are and how black men are not on their level? Because that's something that we've been engaging in for some decades now, pretty much since the end of since Loving versus Virginia, and that's gotten black women where? Telling the world how much better black women are than black men has gotten black women where when it comes to their relationships with white men in particular? I would argue that this is just another petite bourgeoisie argument, right? This is another, we shouldn't be regulated to those bottom shelf, no good Negroes argument. That would explain the Ebony K. Williams clip and her being in there, right? Being in this segment. Right? I would argue that in particular, we have the petite bourgeoisie of the black community, which is pretty much black women, of a particular class that are really saying to the dominant society, look, we went to school, we have our education, we're doing well in our careers, and we should not be regulated to just our race, which is an understandable argument. But continuing, we shouldn't be regulated to only being with them bottom shelf loser, no good Negroes. We need some of you good white men, right? We're getting into eugenics talk, really. We need you good white men, you of good stock, right? Once you start hearing that good stock talk, by the way, none of the ladies said this. Mr. Z is inserting this, but really that's what it is. We need you white men of good stock that could come from good families to come and take these black women and elevate them. Elevate their profile, elevate their status. Because that's the only thing they're missing. They went to your schools, they went to the PWIs, they're educated, they're moving in the circles or attempting to move in the circles that you occupy. All they need is to be legitimized by you. Mr. White Man. See, if you white men would just come and take these women, that would automatically elevate black women's profile in this society, and that would be a net good, right? And Mr. White Man, then you could hide all your racism behind your black wife. Can't call you racist if you have a black wife. Can't call you anti-black if you have a black wife. Never mind the fact that a whole bunch of segregationists during Jim Crow had um, they had children with black women. Never mind that. Never mind that slavers had children with black women. Never mind that. Never mind that there are white national activists currently, like right now, that have children and are married to black women. Never mind that. Never mind the fact that we have black women, mainly on the internet, but also in real life, who sound like and are essentially white nationalists. Shout out to you, divestors, right? This is an argument of the black women petite bourgeoisie. Instead of making a low-key propaganda hit piece against black men, an attempt to say what you've been saying for 40 years now, every so often is another video. Black women are exploring their options. Black women should explore their options. Black women are exploring their options. Black women should explore their options. With white men, with white men, with non-black men, with white men, with non-black men, with white men. Every so often, maybe what, once every 6 months, once every year, once every 2 years, it's another one of these. Right? Black women are kicking ass, black men are losers, and these good white men of good stock should marry these black women because these black women have shown their resourcefulness and their resilience, and they've navigated this anti-black system, and many of them actually sound anti-black because they are anti-black, and all they need to put the cherry on top of their hard work, all they need is just a good-hearted white man, preferably of prominence, to elevate their profile, because elevating one black woman's profile is elevating all black women's profile. Meanwhile, most people in America don't know that John McCain's son is married to a black woman. How's that for elevating profile? Which one of those white princes is married to a black woman? I'm not speaking about um what's his name, and Harry and Meghan. There's another one of those princes that's married to a black woman from America. Most people don't know, don't care. How many black people know? I mean, how many people know that George Lucas is married to a black woman? Meh. De Niro is married to a black woman? Meh. Right? So, but elevating black women's profile is the name of the game here. So, this is another thing we're not going to spend too long on, but it has to be said, and I've mentioned it before, but let's go into it a little bit. Is it truly black women's loyalty to black men, or once again, is it white men in particular anti-blackness? Right? Is it black women's loyalty to black men, Or is it white men's anti-blackness, racism, and simply that they're not interested in black women in that way, right? That's a real question. Is it a simple lack of interest coming from white men? Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. The reason why that question is posed is based off of what we've seen over the better part of 50 years since the repeal of miscegenation laws. Is it truly that black women haven't been open to relationships with white men, going back as far as Bell Hooks speaking about how important it would be for white men to marry black women and essentially elevate black women's status in this society because women take on the status of their husbands? Is it truly that it's once again black women's loyalty to black men, which black women have been speaking about for decades? Or is it simple that white men show a lack of interest in marrying black women, maybe doing other things with black women, employing black women, being in maybe same spaces with black women, educating black women? We call that indoctrination over here, but educating black women, maybe having some, you know, other situations with black women. But when it comes time to marry, have white men shown a propensity to marry black women? Right? So it is a great thing that what we have here is that these people are admitting and emphasizing relationships to white men, black women in relationships with white men. Once again, this brings back the book written by Jennifer Lundquist, Chantel Buggs, and another author I can't remember, um, The Dating Divide, and that women of color respond first to white men and then men of their respective races. This is about white men. So I ask once again, how have women of color internalized, how have they grappled with white supremacist notions of beauty, European beauty standards, European ideas of success, of opulence, of extravagance, of status, excuse me, etc. Right? Trell, you saying a whole lot with that comment, Trell. Right? The reason why this is important is because what we saw from Revolt was once again, we're better than these Negroes. Why are we being relegated to the bottom with these Negroes? This is a racial gender conversation. Black women, so that's black plus XX chromosome, are simply better than black men. That's black XY chromosome. They work harder. They've been better at adapting to this society and its rules and its norms, both written and unwritten. They've done better in the workspace and elevating. They've done better in the political space and elevating. They've done better in academia. Simply put, black women have been better at adapting and moving in these spaces. They are better activists. They are better citizens, right? Et cetera, et cetera. They're less violent. They're less controversial. They're less combative, et cetera, et cetera. This is another Dear White Daddy. Why are we being regulated to the bottom with these no good Negroes? Black women aren't the face of violence. Black men are in America. Black women should not be regulated to being the permanent underclass with black men. This is an out-group woman's argument, right? This is an out-group woman's argument. We are better than those Negroes that you're trying to relegate us to the bottom with. All right. One of the arguments that was made was the once again, black women are the most educated group of people in the country. First, not y'all are reading that data wrong. Ooh, y'all, whew, it's real difficult to not throw water on that fire, right? Y'all are reading that piece of data wrong. Please look at it again. Number one. Number two, it should be stated, and it's never stated, that all women attend college and university more than their male counterparts in America. It's called feminism. It's called emphasizing our ladies, our women attending these institutions for the better part of 40 years. Dear black women, in that respect, you are not special. White women attend college more than white men. Asian women attend college more than Asian men. Latina women attend college more than Latino men. Black women attend college more than black men. So, and even with that, black men still earn more than black women. Black men still employ more people than black women. Black men still have better credit scores than black women. Black men are in less debt than black women. Black men clock more hours at work than black women. What is the argument here? Right? Black men have better credit scores than black women. What is the argument here? There are more black male built millionaires and billionaires than black women. What is the argument here? I'm Wolf. I'm going right to it. Right? To include Ebony K. Williams, who was in a situationship with a white man for some years, who then left her and went back to his wife. We thought that was a smart move because why now? Oh, because she spent a couple months defecating on black men and essentially saying the masses of black men are not on her level. But the white zaddy, who was above her level, did what with her exactly? Ebony K. Williams is analogous and a perfect example of how this often goes. We we enter situations, relationships with black men, we deem them lacking, we think we're better than them. Then we get in situations with white men. They use us for our bodies and our time. Remember, these are the same people that tell you wasting their time if you don't marry them in 2.3 seconds. White men get to waste the better part of half a decade of a white woman's time, and then she gets to end that situation, turn around, and then beat up on black men rhetorically. Now imagine that. The white man gets to, and by the way, in your later 30s, when pretty much when the clock is ticking down, he gets to waste the better part of half a decade of your time and then you turn around and beat up on black men and act all race loyal, talking about black sperm and how black men are not on your level and how you don't want to be with mediocre black men. Meanwhile, you was with the captain of industry white man for the better part of half a decade, and you have what to show for it exactly? This was once again the railings of the petite bourgeoisie. The petite bourgeoisie black woman doing what they've been doing for the better part of 4 decades and begging white society, white men in particular, not to leave them in the slums with black men, not to relegate them to the bottom with black men. This was low key a argument, a meritocratic argument. What, dear white men, haven't we merited our way into your hearts? We're better than those black men. Don't relegate us to the bottom with those black men. We're more cultured than them. We're more educated than them. We're better than them. We're well spoken. We can dress. We're not the social, political, and economic threat they are. We're better than them. Right? And I'm gonna get to your comment in 1 second, Trail. Let me read Kev C's comment real quick. And Kev C says, and thank you for the super chat, Kev. And Kevin C says, the discussion is framed that black men are, quote unquote, the problem, and black women are perfect. But no one can explain why non-black men don't marry black women in high numbers. Yes, they can, Kev C. It's because black women are too loyal to black men. And everyone knows it. Whenever you speak to divestors, whenever these pieces come out, it's always framed. Once again, racism, anti-blackness goes out the window once we start speaking about black women and intimacy and love and interracial relationships. All of a sudden, there's no such thing as white supremacy anymore. All of a sudden, there's no such thing. Or black men use that as a scare tactic to scare black women into staying in the black community with black men and wasting their time, their energy, and being in situations with black men. So the same black women, both conservative and liberal, but definitely liberal black women that speak about racism and anti-blackness and the European beauty standard and systems of oppression and capitalism, and they critique it, and right, and they critique patriarchy, and they never want to talk about how they're fiending for white patriarchy. Oh no, we can't talk about that. We can't talk about the fact that even the way we're insinuating, suggesting, and just outright saying that black men are not on our level has a patriarchal tinge to it. No, we don't want to do that. But all of a sudden, once again, when we're speaking about black women and intimacy and dating out and their options, white supremacy, anti-blackness goes out the window. Right? And if it is mentioned, it's mentioned like it was something in the past, right? Those slave masters and slave owners from, the 19th century, the 18th century, yeah, they were anti-black, they were racist, and yes, they had sex with their black female slaves while also despising black people and thinking that they're better than black people and having black people as property. Yeah, those men did that. And yeah, maybe during Jim Crow, the Bull Carter era, yeah, maybe some of those segregationists had sex with black women while advocating for segregation. Yeah, during that time. But that's not a thing anymore. It's not like we have the Proud Boys now. Oops. It's not that we didn't have a whole bunch of chiseled chin, hair comb over 21, 25-year-old white men in Charlottesville just a few years ago being anti-Semitic and anti-black. It's not that that happened. That didn't just happen, right? It's not that we don't have right now text messages from white racist police officers in South Florida getting caught sending racist text messages to each other, and one of those police officers has a whole black girlfriend. That's not a thing, right? That's not a thing. So once again, Kev C, to answer your question, the problem is black women's loyalty to black men. It has nothing to do with white men's anti-blackness. In majority, because even when there's white men in the comments just copping please. The black women are being real honest in the comments for that video. White men are pretending like they don't know what this is. Once again, emphasis on the word pretending. The black women are telling you in the comments black women are better. Look at that. Look, when black women open their options, look, their marriage rates go up. Black women should have been disloyal to black men. The black women are being real blatant about what this is, that they're better. They should have always seek this option, but they've always been seeking this option. The white men, on the other hand, are, oh, you know what? I've always found black women attractive. Right? So this is what it's about. And it's great that we're having a conversation about this again, and that black women are being honest. Not really, but okay. Also, something that needs to be emphasized is that black women have lobbied and advocated for programs that exclusively benefit them, black women, and oftentimes have attempted to block programs that are in any way beneficial to black men, like My Brother's Keeper. But the same type of black women, I mean literally the same type of black women, like the same type, turn around and then complain about black men not being on their quote unquote level. Right? These same black women that advocate for programs that are exclusively beneficial to black women, that lobby either the US government, their state and local governments, right, for programs that are beneficial to black girls and women, for scholarships for black girls and women, for set-asides and goodies for black girls and women, particularly black girls and women, not black people, black girls and women. Benefit from those programs and those set-asides and those goodies, and then turn around and ask where the black men, if they're being genuine, which they're not, where are the black men on their level? Our society is giving, and it's still failing at it, but our society is giving black women high heels to stand above black men. And then those same black women are turning around and saying, well, I can't date you, I'm taller than you. I can't marry you, I'm taller than you. While they walk around with 5 and 6 inch heels on. Right? So when we have these women who lobby for programs and things that benefit black girls and women, and then turn around to insult the black men who are supposed to what, get it out the mud. These are the same people that talk about meritocracy, right? And yet they want the game to be rigged in their favor. Another comment that was made was that most of the judgment comes from white men and white women. The professor said one of her clients, or one of the people that she interviewed, said most of the judgment comes from black men and white women. Right? And what Mr. Z hears from this is, right, black women doing the white zaddy. It shouldn't be white women on your side. And it definitely shouldn't be those no good black Negroes on your side. It should be us, black women. We've held you down since the plantation. Right? We've done right by you since the plantation. Ain't our woman? We've done right by you since the plantation, white zaddy. We should be the ones sitting next to you, not white women, not black men, not Asian women, not Latina women, not indigenous women, but us, black women. Haven't we proven ourselves? Right? Look at these black men sneering at us when we walk down, emphasizing that, look, I got me a white man. When we walk down the street, when we walk down a hallway, when we're in the mall, when we're in a store, look at the white women whispering things to each other about us. Look at the black men making off-color comments. Right? Look at them talking about us. Huh. Now, never mind the fact that when a black man sees a attractive black woman with a white man, he often congratulates that white man. I see you over there, bro. I see you. No, 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 no. We're not going to talk about that. That's not a real thing. Right? We're not going to talk about the fact that some 15% of children in the black community are born to non-black fathers. We're not going to speak to that. Right? That's not a thing. No, we're going to speak about these mythical, magical black men that just appear out of nowhere and make black women feel uncomfortable when black women are walking around with their white spouse. And I make offhanded comments about these white men and their black spouse. Right? These white men and their black girlfriends, black wives, and black men just come out of nowhere and make them feel uncomfortable by saying something insulting or demeaning or untoward or whatever. Right? And Trell, thank you for the super chat. And Trell says, Miss Andris Puff Piece. I like that. I like the wordplay. I've seen you write that before, or type that before, better yet. Right? And it really is. And that's what I'm saying about the petite bourgeoisie appeal of it all, right? Because it is an attempt of these particular class of black women. It is their attempt at demanding or demanding that white men make them Miss Anne, politically, socially, and economically. It is an appeal to Miss Anne Dree, right? And for those of you that are listening in or that are going to listen in and on the replay and don't understand how Trell worded this not misandry the way we know it and spell it, but Miss Anne Drist. In other words, MISS space ANNE space DRYST. Right? It is a hit piece, right? Because it is attempting to tell white, hey, we're better than these Negroes. Don't regulate us on the bottom with them. We see this with the likes of the Kim Fosters and when they speak about class in the black community, right? Now, Kim Foster has a black boyfriend, from our understanding, but that is the argument. Just because we happen to be black, and we really have to start speaking about the fact that black men and black women's political agenda may not be the same, right? Black men and black women's my apologies for all of you that didn't hear me. We might have to start having a conversation about the fact that black men and black women's agenda may not be the same. I mean, we have that conversation over here in the black manosphere, but we might have to start having a better conversation about that in overall the black community, particularly black men. That there are plenty of black women who simply do not desire the same things that black men do in this society. And maybe their political agenda is actually antithetical to what black men desire. Black men don't desire to be with white men. Oops. Right? Black men don't even desire to be chocolate dipped white patriarchs as white men are. And when I say that, I mean everything that comes with that. What is white patriarchy built on in America? The oppression and domination of others. But are black women, are they fighting that good fight? As Fab Socialism said once, it's interesting to see all these radical black women with white men. Yeah, because they don't mean it. Right? It's one thing to virtue signal, it's another thing to actually have to stand in that. It's one thing to say you anti-patriarchy. It's a whole different thing when a white man that comes from a upper middle class family and is a patriarch finds interest in you. Now are you anti-patriarchy? Uh-oh. It's one thing to claim same-sex loving and non-binary, and it's a whole different question when Bill de Blasio walks in the room. God damn, Mr. Z. Right? All that same-sex loving talk. What happens when Bill de Blasio walks in the room? Right? What happens then? So the question of, or the statement about most judgment comes from white women and black men, or black men and white women. How true do we think that is? Where's the evidence of that? Where's the evidence of black women just being harassed by black men while these black women are walking with their white partners, white husbands, white boyfriends? Because this professor gives us this weird anecdote. Well, one of my interviewees said that a black man told her, come back home. Now, in the black manosphere, we understand that black women, particularly this class of black women, always thought their home was with white men. So we wouldn't say come back home. We know home for you is somewhere next to the white man's crotch area. So it wouldn't be a come back home. Unless we were saying it in a giggity type of way. And then once again, home wouldn't be over here. It would be where you are with the white man. Right? So, lastly, this is not about love. This is about power, wealth, acknowledgement. Right? This entire segment was spent attempting to inform the viewer of how elevated black women are, especially in comparison to black men, and how that elevated status should grant them access to white men. To end this segment with the statement "love is love" is preposterous, because we spent the entire almost 8 minutes speaking about everything but love. Right? Speaking about black women's education and black men's lack thereof. Right? Speaking about how black men have had access to white women and have dated white women at 2 times the rate, or better yet, married white women at 2 times the rate of black women. Right? Speaking about how black women are attending college and university far more than black men. We have spoken about everything but love. So to end this segment, this almost 8-minute long hit piece against black men with the statement "love is love," we've spoken about everything but love here. This was about positionality. This was about power. This is about wealth. This is about acknowledgement. This is about status in this society. Right? This is not about love. And that's okay if it's not. We live in a capitalist society. Right? We live in a democracy, a supposed democracy, at least on paper. So it's okay if these ladies are not necessarily seeking love, and what they want from white men is what Mr. Z says they want from white men: the status of being a white man's wife, to be elevated in this society by the group of people that are the most powerful, influential, and wealthiest group of people in the country, arguably on the planet. There is nothing wrong with that, but could we just say that's what it is? Listen, white man, I'm better than these Negroes. I've done my part to merit my way into your system. Now it's your turn to elevate me. It doesn't matter what education I have. It doesn't matter what school I went to. All my accomplishments mean nothing if I don't have a white husband to grant me access into certain rooms and to elevate my status. It means nothing. And if I continue to be relegated to the permanent underclass with these shiftless, loser, lame, non-patriarchal, non-masculine. Now we get into like different way, the way people really used to speak about the black race as a feminized race, while the white race was a masculine race. So that's what Mr. Z is speaking to, if you don't get it. These non-patriarchal black men, I shouldn't be relegated to these men, white daddy. It's not fair and it's not right. Right? And KW Don says, and thank you for the super chat, the most aggressive form of racial assault by white people is to have relations with black people, according to Neely Fuller Jr., i.e., Strom Thurmond, Thomas Jefferson. Exactly. Strom Thurmond. All these segregationists. Segregation today, tomorrow, and forever. Meanwhile, whole black baby mom, whole black baby's mother, have a child with a black woman. Meanwhile, you're on the pulpit, you're on the podium, anti-black this, anti-black that. Right? This was a hit piece against black men, and this was this was like an interracial commercial, right? No different than the Swiffer commercial or the Hyundai or Nissan commercials that showing the white husband with the black wife and the mixed children in the back seat. This was just a longer commercial. This one wasn't 15 or 30 seconds long, right? Or 45 seconds long. This was close to 8-minute long commercial, right? And Sahel says, and I actually like this comment, let me read this. But Z, I doubt they can say that in public because they will rise the quiet power white women who will go after them. But white women already are. White women already are. White women are already trying to cut off white men from Asian women. They already feel a certain way about white men and Asian women. Right? Black women are playing a very dangerous game, and they're simply put, they're too damn loud. They're so loud. Their want to be a white woman, once again, the myth of white womanhood, their want, their desire, their need to be seen as upper middle class and rich white women, essentially, and how they're screaming it from the mountaintops, they're too loud. The divestors are too loud on the internet. They're way too loud. Dancing on a Kobe Bryant's grave in front of white people on the internet wasn't smart. Right? Dancing on Kevin Samuel's grave wasn't smart. Right? Those white guys that's in it. You think if we know that Tucker Carlson had white racist people, because he is too, white racist dudes working for him that were all over the internet, you think they didn't see black women in the way black women spoke about Kevin Samuels, and the way black women speak about white men and black men? You think those white men don't see that? Right? Vincent LeBeau is the tip of the iceberg. I said it before when Destiny made that comment on What's His Face show, speaking about the divestors. White men know, they know Mr. Z has had a personal experience with a white guy that let Mr. Z know, once again, unprovoked. And he said, no, just black women just jealous, mad because they can't get us. Mr. Z said to him, there's a segment of black women. They look at certain white guys and they think y'all a little, rainbow, a little questionable. Yeah, of course, they got to tell themselves that because they can't get us. Yeah. So Z that to his face. And yet black women running around the internet and in real life talking about their loyalty to black men. That's the issue. Their loyalty to black men is why their interracial marriage rate isn't higher. Okay, then. Right? And Will AR says, now you have the racist small hat zaddies like Edward Blum trying to destroy entitlement programs for black women in federal court. Where's the outrage? They don't have any outrage against that. Their outrage is at you, black man, for coming out the womb black and XY chromosome. Their outrage is that because for them, that wouldn't even matter if white men would just marry them. Why would I need social programs and set asides and corporations and conglomerates saying, you know what, we're going to set aside $10 billion for black women, or we're going to set aside certain positions specifically for black women, our diversity officer positions and whatnot. Why would I need that if I just marry one of you upper middle class white men and I can be a stay-at-home mother? Why would I need that if I could just marry one of you upper middle class white men and we can be a power couple? And you can advocate for me, your black wife, and for black women, black women as a whole. Why would I wouldn't need these things, and black women wouldn't need these things if you white men would just marry us. Right? And this, by the way, is also black women. See, we speak about separating from black women politically. This is black women saying, oh no, we're separating from you politically. They're just not outright saying it, but they're saying it. They can't outright say it because they still need your blood for their movements. Your death is the fuel for their movements because nobody in the world cares about what the hell black women talking about. They only get a visceral response when they see George Floyd essentially being choked to death for 9 minutes, 10 minutes. And black women then use that fuel, your blood, your literal death. They use your death as fuel for their political movement to actually separate from you. But not so much that they can use your death again to separate from you, if that makes any sense. To show white society, hey, we're better than these Negroes. We're different from these Negroes, but not too different that when he gets murdered by the police or extrajudicial killing or some type of vigilante violence, that we can then not come by and be like, we're his sister. And his absence. Now give me some money. Right? First of all, most black women don't even know who Ed Blum is. Secondly, they would find a way, for those of them that do know, they're going to find a way to put this right back on black men. Oh yes, you better believe it. You better believe they're going to find a way to put this right back on black men. And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And K Dot, my email is in my description box. Right? It's in the description box. And Kevin Miller says, hate to say it, but these type of women are going to increase. Yeah, but their interracial marriage rates aren't going to increase. They could do all that talking they want. That's not how white supremacy works. Yeah, some white racist men will marry black women. Some normal white dudes who are not racist will marry black women. But an overemphasis on white men with black women while the marriage rate is going down? No. The overall marriage rate is going down across the entire developed world. And it's slowing down. The marriage rate is slowing down in even the developing world. And yet black women think their interracial marriage rate with white men is going to increase when the marriage rate overall in this society is decreasing. How's the math going to math in that respect? And once again, that doesn't matter. What matters is the propaganda hit piece against black men. The insulting black men by omission, the straight up insulting black men, the little sneak diss of black men, this talk of loyalty when we all know it's not loyalty. And the reason why because what ends up happening is black women then use that air quotes loyalty to black men as a hammer to hit black men upside the head with. We're over here because we're too loyal. No, you're over here out of force because white men ain't checking. And you resent you resent black men and white men for not elevating you to white women status. But you take that resentment out on black men and not white men. You want to be socially, politically, and economically an upper middle class white woman. And you resent black men and white men for not putting you on that level, but you reserve your anger and your ire for black men. Right? That's the argument. That's what Mr. Z is presenting. And all these little propaganda hit pieces against black men and all these little overglorified interracial commercials. Did y'all really just spend 8 minutes telling the world how much better you are than black men and how black women's increasing marriage rate with white men? Yawn. That same tired 12%, you mean that 4% when we don't control for marriage? That 4% of all black women, all marriageable age black women that's married to non-black men, you mean that 4%, if we're being kind, almost maybe possibly 5%? If we're being kind and generous? And by the way, none of that matters. You know what the real thing is? The fact that we did the whole, well, black women go to school, have more, attend college more than black men. And black women aren't in jail as much. What group of women are in prison more than their men? Think about this. Black women attend college and university more than black men. All women do. Black women are not incarcerated as much as black men. That's true for all women. Look at the argument. And this is something that black men, I argue, need to really enjoy, is the honesty. It's not real honesty, right? But we're slowly getting to the place where they're just coming out and saying it. Once again, the title. The rise of black women coupling with white men, right? Not the rise of black women in interracial relationships. Not black women explore. Are you really exploring your options if you're just talking about white men? You mean the group of men you've been in the country with since the beginning? You mean the whole reason for Loving versus Virginia? Look at the wording there. They kept on, love is love, and opening up your options and being open to other men. Meanwhile, they're emphasizing black women and white men because it was always about the power. It was always about black women status being elevated. See, black women's status can't necessarily be elevated by being in an interracial relationship with an Asian man, or interracial relationship with a Latino man. It's not necessarily elevated with another man of color. It has to be the white man. Bell Hooks is correct about that. Mr. Z actually agrees with her on that. Women often take on the status of their men. And what black women are saying is, yeah, we want white men, white women status. It doesn't count if it's a Latino. It doesn't count if it's Asian. It doesn't count if it's an indigenous man. It doesn't count if it's a South Asian man. No, it has to be a white man. This is political advocacy, really. And I don't fault black women for that. But could you leave black men's name out your mouth? If you want the status of upper middle class white women, could you leave black men's name out your mouth? Oh, I forgot, you can't, because we live in a racist, anti-black society. So you're doing your best at being racist and anti-black also by essentially throwing black men under the bus. Because America's favorite pastime. Right? And Toya says, run Mr. Z his likes, y'all. Yes, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Right? And Leon says, and thank you for the super chat. And Leon says, the only place that I think you meant to say that the only place that happens in is inner cities. No black men would risk saying anything like that in middle class or better, bro. And that's the. Thank you for this comment, Leon, because that's the point. Like, where are you where a random black guy is yelling across the street, "Come back home, sister"? Because, and even when you hear the professor say that, right? When you heard her speak, she pretty much said, like, who told you me being with a black man is home? Who told you me being with black people is home? Like, she walked right on the edge of the divester rhetoric. Getting tongue tied. She walked right on the edge of divester rhetoric. Rightfully so. Let them say it, everyone. Let them say it. Let them say it loud. Because I argue this is a class argument. This is the black woman petite bourgeoisie saying, yeah, you lowly Negro, I'm above you. This is Kim Foster talk. And they were right to put Ebony K. Williams up there. This is Ebony K. Williams talk. Right? This is the I'm better than you Negroes talk. So we could cut the love is love. Love is love, but you're emphasizing the okay. Let's do this again. Love is love, but the title of the video is The Rise of Black Women Coupling with White Men. Not the rise of black women opening up their options. Not the rise of black women exploring their options. Not the rise of black women in interracial relationships. Right? Not the rise of non-black men seeking black women. No, the rise of black women coupling with white men. So to end the video with love is love, clearly we are seeking relationships with non-black men. How is that about love? Love is love. Right? Love is love, but I am seeking interracial relationships with non-black men. excuse me, wrong. I am seeking relationships with white men. But love is love. The title said it wasn't about love. The title said it was about white men. Right? And once again, nothing wrong with that. Except that you lied throughout the whole goddamn video. Black women are not the most educated. One. Two, you lied by omission by not saying, oh yeah, by the way, black men are beating black women in just about every metric, from credit score to how many people black men employ versus how many people black women employ versus who has more businesses versus who earns more. Yeah, black men are like outpacing. And by the way, that's without outright trying to compete against black women. Shout out to G Serotonin. Black women are trying to compete against black men. Black men are not competing against black women, and black men are still beating black women and black women's competition. You ever are in the car with someone, or you're the one driving, and you're low-key racing someone else and they don't realize that you're racing them because clearly you didn't tell them that, right? It's a one-sided race because you're racing them, but they're not. You're racing them, but they're not racing you. They don't even know that you're trying to speed past them. Now imagine getting to the other light and be like, yeah, putting your window down. Yeah, I beat you. Wait, what? What? I just want you. I'm better than you. Wait, what are you talking about? And then taxing them with the lack of knowledge or the lack of awareness that you were racing them the whole time and that you beat them. Here's the thing, but you never beat them though. You never caught up. Right? And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Right? The reason why I bought this to you guys today, and first I didn't know if anyone else in the Black Manosphere covered it. I wasn't sure, right? And I wanted to bring this to y'all to say, like, and it continues. And it continues. Right? We have been hearing this for at least 40 years. Every so often, another one of these videos, another one of these segments, whether it's on a talk show, right? Whether it's a ABC special or a CNN special or something like that. Every once in a while, one of these happens. So now it's on the internet. Another one of these. Dear white zaddy, come and save us. We're better than these Negroes. They're not on our level. Right? We're loyal and they're not. Every once in a while is one of these. And, well, here we are. Right? And here we are. This was a propaganda hit piece. And this was a what? An infomercial? Essentially, this was a Swirler Divester infomercial. First of all, wrong place. Y'all put it on Revolt. It should be, if you, dear black women, y'all really need like a PR person, right? I really should throw all the brothers in the Black Manosphere under the bus and be y'all PR person. How much y'all think Mr. Z should sell his services? $100,000 a year, $250,000 a year to be their PR person because they suck. First, Revolt. If you're trying to get white men, that ain't the place. The white men that listen to Revolt, that mess with hip hop like that, they either already are with black women or they're never gonna be with black women. They just like the music. So wrong place. You need to be on MSNBC and CNN, right? You need to be on MSNBC and CNN. I didn't say Fox News because they're not messing with y'all like that. You'll be able to pick off one or two racist white dudes that still want to have sex with or maybe entertain being in a relationship with a black woman. The juice ain't worth the squeeze over there for y'all. So you got to go to the more left leaning white racist dudes instead of the right leaning white racist dudes. That's CNN and MSNBC. Center left and a little bit more left, but not to the extreme. So guess what? CNN and MSNBC, ABC. Revolt? Nope. MTV. That's where y'all need to be. MTV1 and MTV2 with the commercials. Logic only. I'm just saying. Logic only says, yep, the white men I work with in tech love rap music but would never be with a black woman. Because they too are making political statements. Mr. Z's argument is not that white men are that repulsed by black women, although they are white men that are repulsed by black women. Just like you have this infomercial and really you are attempting to make a political statement with being with the white man, are white men who also are trying to make political statements by being with white and Asian women. A particular looking type of white woman on top of that. Your desires don't exist in a vacuum, black women. Your political and social advocacy does not exist in a vacuum. White men know that women of color desire them because they simply because they're white men. They know it. But they also have desires. And they also have status markers. The blonde, blue-eyed, slim white woman being the top of that status marker. Then the brunette, green-eyed white woman, slim. Right? Then maybe, possibly, a damn near white it's still white, just Spanish-speaking white woman. Then maybe an Asian woman in there. East Asian, then South Asian. Oh, wait, Z, you forgot. Arab, damn near white. These are the hierarchies that white men put into place, black women, not black men, white men. Right? White men put that whole color hierarchy together, not black men. Yes, there are white men that are attracted to black women. Of course. There are white men that would never ever consider marrying a black woman that are attracted to black women. There are white men that would never marry a black woman that would have sex with a black woman. There are white men that would never marry a black woman, that might even be boyfriend to a black woman. And the second it get that serious, that's the end. Black women know this. I'm not saying anything new to them. Right? And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Black women know this. Mr. Z is not saying anything new. But this is the way they speak. Right? So yeah, I definitely wanted y'all to check that out. Um, you know, understand that while we're traversing through this life, we're going to and increasingly come into contact with black women who are extremely anti-black male. Right? Ooh, trail. Ooh, trail. Ooh, oh boy. Hey. Hey. That statement right there is so heavy. And I would argue it's so accurate. That statement right there is so heavy. Something white men and black women don't want to, they really don't want to grapple with this. And let me read this for y'all. Trail. Okay, all right. And Trail Bentley says there are more quote unquote straight white men attracted to black men than black women. Oh man. And you ever have one of those, did somebody tell you something and it damn near take your breath away? You're like, oh man. It's it's look. Let's read that again. And I gotta put a word in there to make sure that those that are listening or listening in the replay and can't look at the screen understand what Trail is saying. There are more quote unquote straight white men attracted to black men than they are to black women. In other words, these white men, quote unquote straight white men, that are more attracted to black women than they are attracted to they are more attracted to black men than they are attracted to black women. Oh man. And secretly, black women and white women know. Secretly, black women and white women know this. Yeah. It's a real uncomfortable truth that America has ran from since the days of slavery, since the plantation. It's a real uncomfortable truth that we don't often speak about. As a matter of fact, we seldom speak about in America. Are white men being attracted to black men's bodies? The grape of black men on plantations, specifically grape of black men on plantations. The grape of black men during Jim Crow by white men. I want to make sure we're saying this so that no one gets this misconstrued. Right? There is no coincidence. Once again, let's bring up the dating divide. At the same time, women of color respond first to white men on online dating apps and then to men of their respective races. Black men do not respond first to white women. Gay black men do not respond first to gay white men. Yeah. So black men in total, from what we can see, are far more loyal to black people than black women give them credit for, than this society give them credit for. Which once again goes back to what Mr. Z was saying. That it's not black women's loyalty, it's that white men are not interested in that way. And the reason why this matters in context to this video is that supposed loyalty that black women claim they have to black men causes them to have a certain level of frustration that both white men and black men have not elevated black women to the same or higher social, political, socio-political, social, economic, socio-economic status of white upper middle class women. Black women want to be Miss Anne. They want to be Karen. Right? They want that social power. They want that economic power. They want that status. That is what the white man in his crotch area is about. Right? And I Am Wolf says, can't tell you how many sisters, quote unquote sisters, I've seen on POF Plenty of Fish talking about being interested in white men only. That's their prerogative. There's nothing wrong with that. That's their prerogative. There's nothing wrong with that. Just the frustration at black men when you don't end up with white men, now that's when we get into issues. When you feel like you're being regulated and being sequestered off to what they call Blackistan because the white man refuses to marry you, that's when it becomes a problem. Your pursuit of interracial relationships with white men is not the problem. That's a problem for you. Your propaganda hit pieces against black men, now that's a problem. Right? And Trell Bentley says, don't want to be a Keisha no more. Oh, and Big Pun, Big Pun says, oh man. And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Right? So yeah, we're gonna try to do a panel, like I said, if not tomorrow, it might be super early Monday morning, particularly speaking about the Republican debate. So yeah. So we we're gonna speak about that. And yeah. Um Look, ladies, your prerogative, nothing wrong with that. It is not black men's job to dictate to black women what they should be desired in and why they should be desired in it. But this is not about love. This is about positionality. This is about status. This is about power. This is about acknowledgement. This is about treatment by white men. This is out-group women aspiring to be treated like in-group women and actually be in-group women, right? This is about. It's out-group women demanding to be treated like in-group women and emphasizing that they're not out-group men, right? This is dominance order. Yeah, I might be an out-group woman, but I'm not an out-group man. And I've done my part to imitate and emulate being an in-group woman. So can I be treated like an in-group woman? And can I be taken in like an in-group woman? A particularly high status in-group woman. Right? This, once again, like I said before, this is an argument of the petite bourgeoisie, black woman. This is why they emphasize, and these people actually believe in meritocracy. They think it actually means something to white men. With centuries of, yeah, no, it doesn't, but okay, fine, keep on doing it the way you want to. Let's see if that works. Right? What we see here, and it's a great thing, and I'm going to expand this out just from black women, that women of color are telling you what it is. Asian women are telling you what it is. Latina women are telling you what it is. Black women are telling you what it is. Indigenous women, they're hey, bro, it's all about the white man. Listen, yeah, we're not fighting this white patriarchal um capitalist society. We'll do a little tacit lip service to it, giggity. But really, yeah, we're not. You know what? We'll fight it while being next to it, while being with it. We'll fight patriarchy while being with the white patriarchs. Yeah, that's it. We'll fight systems of oppression while being on top of the system of oppression because we married the man on top of the system of oppression. Right? Isn't that every feminist, heterosexual feminist's goal to marry a white man while railing against white patriarchy and white capitalism? Isn't that the goal? Right? The video that I reviewed, that I think O'Shea also reviewed, with the young lady speaking about how white people smell like dog, white this and white that, and she got a whole white boyfriend. Right? Or the video of the young lady walking and saying, I would rather be in a relationship with a racist white man for 4 months than be single for 6 years. Women of color are just straight up telling you what it is. Black women in particular. Black women just so happen to be the goddamn loudest about it, particularly on the internet, but they're telling you what it is. Right? Meanwhile, Revolt has this segment talking about it like it's love. Right? Is it? Talking about it like it's love. Is it? And Detroit says it's not even constitutional. Right? Oh, I'm sorry, Detroit, but better you, better you got you on this one. Trell, better you took your joke and added to it, and now it's funny. So for those of you, big pun. I don't want to be a player no more, right? And better use is, oh my god, and better use is, I don't want to be, I don't want to be a Keisha no more. I'm not divested. I just swirl a lot. Let's say that again. I don't want to be a Keisha no more. I'm not divested. I just swirl a lot. Oh, oh man, that's the anthem, right? That's the song. That's the anthem right there, right? Don't want to be don't want to be a Keisha no more. I'm not divested. I just swirl a lot. Oh man. Oh, hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. And it's true because some of them do speak like that. I'm not divested because I don't have the most outrageously heinous neo-Nazi language about black men. So I'm not divested, but I just swirl a whole lot. And I'm critical of black men, or I critique black men, right? Wow. Wow. And Too Real for Most says, and he modified with Better You said, and says, nah, I just F a lot. So let's see. So it'll be, don't want to be a Keisha no more. I'm not divested. I just F a lot. Oh, well, you just F. I just F a lot of white dudes, right? Wow. And to the ladies, look, it's your prerogative. Shout out to Revolt for this. If this is where we're going now, right? And it's crazy watching them make this merit based, but also like appeal to morality, right? It's somewhat of a moral argument. It's somewhat of a moral argument, right? You know, I, I'm in the black community, stuck with these. I'm in Blackistan, in the black community, stuck with these no good, shiftless, loser, soft, pathetic, hyper masculine while also being effeminate, right? Aggressive while also being soft. Black men, black boys, right? Or black boys in black men's bodies. I'm stuck in this black community with these people. And shouldn't I be elevated, Mr. White Man? I mean, I'm better than them. And I'm once again, I'm not an outgroup male. Right? Look at the professor that was on the segment. Light-skinned black woman, professor, researcher, apparently. Right? I'm better than these Negroes. Don't leave me over here with these Negroes. And I don't have this whole thing about black love, right? I don't care for black men that way. Get me the hell up out of here, right? So yeah, y'all done cracked me up this morning. But yeah, so we'll end it out here. I'll come back to you guys with something else. um, Look, nothing wrong with the ladies seeking better pastures, because for them the grass is greener on the other side. As a matter of fact, there is no grass over here on for black men. Dealing with black men, there is no grass on this side. They see grass over there. They see oasis over there, right? They see a house on a lake over there. Nothing wrong with that. We know what society we live in. What a coinky dink that we're speaking about black women being with the grapers, pillagers, conquerors of the planet, white men. But the way they speak about it is in a moral sense. And an existential, like it's an existential crisis if they don't end up over there, right? And better use is that's the crazy thing. It's impossible to talk about black men issues without women trying to re-enter it on them. I did a video making the intersectional argument for men. First comment is about. Okay, I'll check it. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. I'll check out your channel and check it out. As a matter of fact, better you if you don't mind, just post that video in the comments. Not the live comments, but in the comments, and I'll pin it. All right. Yeah. But yeah, so nothing wrong with the ladies wanting something better or bigger than black men. Bigger than black men. Have fun finding that. All right. But um Revolt covered this. You know, this is their infomercial. Nothing wrong with that. We know there's a whole lot of black women, even some black men that agree. Right? K dot, the email is literally in my description box. It's in the description box. It's always in the description box. Right? Yeah, it's always in the description box. And that's all it is, Allspaz. And Allspaz says, since it's been on that escape hatch ish for centuries, I'm waiting to see these awesome results from the swirling. There is none. Yes, you have the Eves and the Serenas. Yeah, you have that, right? You have that. You have the Meghan Markle mom who eventually produces a daughter that marries a prince. Yeah, you got that. And yeah, that's it. That's it. Even the white lady that tried to blow smoke up these women's rear end spoke about how many of these marriages it's these men's second marriage. It's these white guys' second marriage. Translation: they already had their white kids. They contributed to white society already. When they were young and square jawed and six packed up or washboard abbed up, they weren't checking for black women. Now that he's pudgy and he's 48 years old and he has his 2 or 3 white kids, now he's marrying the 27-year-old black woman, the 31, 32-year-old black woman. Now that he's 48 years old. And then those women then turn around and tell us how much better white men are than black men. You never dated no 48-year-old black dude. You're 29, 30, 31, marrying a guy damn near 20 years your senior who's established and white in America. Let's say that again. White in America, and then bragging about what? Right? Bro, but Allspat, this is a perfect comment. And most comments phrase I see, we need to date who we are most compatible with. And Allspat says, ma'am, y'all been having their babies for ages. Where are the marriages? But here's the thing, Allspat, they're right. If we live in America, and we see the type of comments that black women say about black men, they are right. They need to be with the men that they're most compatible with. If black women have all these anti-black male sentiments and negative views on black men, particularly straight black men, then aren't they compatible with a lot of white men, particularly racist white men, anti-black white men? Yeah, they're right. They're absolutely right. They are compatible with those men, right? They are right. Talking about that, right? Y'all give Mrs. Z a minute. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. Somewhere in the suburbs, lock the door behind you, and talk crap about black men all day. Raise your son if you have one, that he's nothing like those dirty Negroes over there in the hood, and raise your mixed daughter to stay the hell away from Negroes and end up with, well, a white man like her father. And that's all it is, Better You. And Better You says, and I'm about to end out, Better You says, somebody should, I think you asked Dr. Umar, okay, somebody should ask Dr. Umar if he could make a queen out of Clayton Bigsby's daughter. Because that's what guys are being asked to do when listening to mainstream rhetoric. That's exactly what they're, no, not, here's the thing, Better You. They're not being asked that. They're being demanded to. They're being, young black men are being demanded that they turn those women into wives. Women like Cynthia G, who told you she's trying to destroy the black community. Women like Kim Foster with their infinite amount of condescending attitude that knows no bounds, right? You're supposed to turn a wife. You're supposed to turn one of those people into a wife. You're supposed to be like what Paris Milan husband is. Just ignore all of it and then marry her anyway. Or whatever dude is laying up with Cynthia G right now. Whatever brother is laying up with Cynthia G right now. Ignore all of that foolishness and marry them anyway. And no, I'm not saying Cynthia G is married, but I think she did say she got a black man right now, right? Which whoever you are, if you really exist, right? So anyway, on that note, we'll end out right here. Um, we'll pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. And let's be honest about the fact that like this is the environment, right? This is the environment. Oh, Logic only says, Sinji is single. She got doxxed in a divest group run by divested zealot. Well, if that's true, well, her rhetoric online doesn't make it better. To be frank, with the Cynthia G level of insanity, you know what? I was gonna say I don't even see a white man dealing with her, but we gotta remember, Azalea Banks got a white husband, so hey, anything is possible, right? And so there you go. Azalea Banks is a prime example of what these ladies are on. Been divested, been swirling, right? Saying the most outlandish things about people, black people in particular, claiming to be pro-black, but then when you get mad, you talk about bouncing on white peen. Hey, and I mean, like literally, I'm not. Mr. Z is not putting words in her mouth, although that white man putting something else in her mouth. Yeah. So that's what it's about. And we'll pause right there. Truly. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Once again, go check out other Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, right? And y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Mr. Z out.